Namaskar, Urzu Dorkut Toysarni. Welcome to the 6th edition of Urzu Dorkut. Stay healthy, stay fine. This series is in part of the celebrations which are going on the 400th birth anniversary of Mata Roop Bhavani. It's our effort to reach to all of you so that you have a great health, you have a good health. Urzu Dorkut. Again, many of our friends have asked us, non-Kashmiri friends have asked us, what does it mean? It means, Urzu means long life, stay healthy. Dorkut means stay. You may be able to stand on your knees all your life. So stay healthy, stay firm, keep walking all your life is what Urzu Dorkut means. Today we have Dr. Nishchint Warikoo with us.
Namaskar, my name is Pankaj. Today we are going to discuss on a very important, emotional and sensitive subject. The topic will be children, mental health and the parenting. Friends, child psychology is a very important branch of family health. It gives parents the resource to help their children in advance. Even it's difficult for children to explain what they are going through, much less to analyze their feelings. That's where child psychology can help you, highly important and valuable information you get. So today, there are few things which we are going to touch. That's about the stress a child feels, anxiety, frequent mood swings, challenges in academics, and how to moderate the usage and internet playing. Kids are playing a lot of video games and all, how to moderate it. Viewers, today we have Dr. Nishchint Warikoo ji. I request Amit ji to kindly introduce Dr. Warikoo to the audience.
Namaskar. Dr. Nishchint Warikoo is an MBBS and a member of Royal College of Psychiatrists. He is also an MBA in Health Management, a former Lieutenant Commander with Indian Army. Dr. Warikoo qualified from India and then trained in United Kingdom to become the member of Royal College of Psychiatrists. He's a senior consultant in child and adolescent mental health and was associate director with Sussex NHS Trust, England. He has recently been working as director of CLP services at Sydney Children's Hospital, New South Wales, Australia. Over to you, Dr. Saab.
Thank you very much. Namaskar and hello to everyone. My name is Nishchint, as I was introduced. And first of all, I wanted to thank the organizers for setting up this web meet. It's a great pleasure to be here, and thanks for all the audience who have joined us. So our plan is first to do this presentation, and then it will be followed by question and answer session. So in the presentation, what I'll be doing is I'll be covering this topic, that's mental health. Then I will talk about why is it important. We'll talk briefly about what the mental disorders look like. And then I'll move on to the parenting and its importance. So I'll just set up sorry, I'll be boring you with the PowerPoint presentation, but it seems it might be easier to present my views that way. So please bear with me while I set this up.
Thank you, Dr. Saab, for taking. Please, Dr. Saab, go ahead.
So let's start with the plan. As I said, we'll be talking about what mental health is. So let's go directly to that. As Pankaj ji pointed out, mental health is still a taboo in many countries. It's not just in developing countries, in developed countries as well. And it's an issue which people try to avoid, not talk about it. And the reason is because people have a fear of mental illness. It's like in India, when someone has anything to do with mental illness, they would be coded as pagal hai. And as soon as you code that, people don't want to talk about it. They just want to go away, and no one wants to be called pagal. And to be honest, there is no meaning of that word if we really look at it. So let's start with what does mental health actually mean. So mental health includes three key things. One is our emotions. So sadness, happiness, anger, fear, all of these emotions form a major part of our mental health. The second is the way we think. Are we a positive person in our thinking? Do we always think a bit pessimistically? Do we always feel confident? Now, I'm not saying any of this is wrong. This is just how we are. It's our way of thinking. And the third thing is the way we act. Are we mostly aggressive in our actions? Are we mostly compassionate in our actions? So all three of these together, they form our mental health. And they interact very closely together. They're not separate to each other. And depending on how they interact together, it helps us to handle stress in our day-to-day life. It helps us to have relations with other people. And another very important thing is it helps us make choices, take decisions in our life. So this all together would be mental health. As you see in this diagram, none of these things work separately. So if you have thoughts, they have an effect on your emotions, that has an effect on your behavior and your bodily sensations as well. So I will give you an example just to explain how it all works. So let's imagine you are walking down the street and you see your friend or a relative coming from the other side. So the usual thing you would expect is he or she would say hello to you. So let us see, the person came close to you and did not even look at you and did not even say hello to you. So what would come to your mind? So if I give you a few seconds to just think of this situation and think of the first thought that comes to your mind. Okay. So based on my experience of doing these workshops or talking to people, I think some of you, the first thought that will come to your mind is, this person has just ignored me. So that will be the first thought. And there will be another group, and I'll come to what their thought will be. So first, let's talk about this thought. So the thought comes to your mind, this person has ignored me. This person has, in a way, insulted me. So as soon as that thought comes to your mind, the emotion that follows would be possibly you will feel sad, you'll feel ignored, and you will also feel angry. So a thought led to an emotion. So if you are now feeling sad, angry, what will your action be? Your action would be to ignore this person. And next time you meet this person, you would either not talk to him or you'll be angry with him. So what it has now affected is your behavior with that person, and the relationship has been effectively damaged a bit. So that was this group of people who had that first thought in their mind. Now let's go to the other group of you. So many of you would have, the first thought you would have had is there something wrong with this friend of mine? That's why he didn't say hello to me. So as soon as that thought comes to your mind, the emotion that follows is very different. It is not sadness or anger. It's about empathy. It's about feeling for this person and thinking, oh, there is something wrong with my friend. And when that feeling comes in, the behavior would be different. Now you're not going to avoid him. You will actually go to this person. You'll probably stop him and say, is everything okay? Sab theek hai kya? Kya baat hogi? Tune mere ko wish kyun nahi kiya? And that is going to build your relation. So as I was explaining, the two thoughts, and the worrying bit is that you don't have a control on that first thought that comes to your mind. And that first thought can have so much of an effect on your emotion and your behavior. We'll probably come back to that again later. So this is how it all works together. And it helps, it affects your relationships, it affects how you take your decisions, how you act. So once we've talked about the mental health, as I said, it is very important for us to have a good mental health because, as I said earlier, it helps us manage stress, it helps us build our relationship, and it helps us make decisions. So what is it? What is a mental health disorder? What is a mental illness? It's not something totally extreme. No, it is not. Any problem in these parts of mental health. So any problem with the emotions. So let's say if you are, we all get sad at time to time, but let's say you are sad for too long a time, or let's say someone is too happy. So being too happy for too long for no reason is also a problem. And if someone is fearful, well, we all are fearful at times, but if a person is fearful all the time, then that is the problem. Similarly, some people are people who think positively, some think a bit negatively, but that's okay as well. If it is too extreme, then it's a problem. And similarly, the way we act, as I said earlier, some people by their nature are very empathic, or they talk very softly, or they act in that way. But if it becomes too much, when I say too much means when it has an impact on your ability to enjoy life. So if you are sad once in a while, that's okay. But if you're sad all the time and you're not able to enjoy the things you would do, or these are having an impact on the way you do your day-to-day work. So if you're a student, if you're not able to study, if you are working in a company, you're not able to work, or if it's having a major impact on your relationship with other people, then it's a mental disorder or a mental illness. And what would happen when the disorder or illness comes in? It will have an effect on your ability to handle stress. So normally, if your car had a puncture while you're going to office, yeah, you won't be happy, but you'll be able to manage. But if your mental health has gone that bad that you're not even able to maintain that stress, then that's a problem. And if it's a mental disorder or mental illness, it will start having an effect on your relationship with other, and it will have an impact on the quality of decisions you take. Therefore, it's very important for us to give thought to this. Often we don't even think about mental health. We're very careful about our physical health, and not only us, everyone else around us is careful about it, but we don't give much thought to mental health, even though it's so important for us. As I was saying, it has such an impact on our relationship, on our ability to do things, but we don't give enough thought to it. So now let's go to, again, I want you to imagine, please imagine a person who you think has got a mental disorder, or how do you imagine a person with a mental disorder? So I'll give you a few seconds to think of that. I hope you all have imagined something. And I think what you would have imagined is, I wouldn't go into detail, but often the version that's presented in movies. So some would imagine a person who is on the street and his clothes are torn, or he is shouting at people, or he's hitting people, or he's doing all sorts of nonsense. Or you would probably imagine a person who is in a psychiatric hospital where electric shocks are given to his head, or they're doing all sorts of funny things. So I wouldn't blame you for imagining that, because that's how the society has so far presented it. That's how the media has presented mental illness. It's a thing to laugh about. Whereas if someone had, let's say, cancer or diabetes, you wouldn't laugh about it. You wouldn't make fun about it. You will be very empathic. You would want to help this person. You would tell the person, go and get help. But when it comes to mental disorder, we all either laugh at it or we try to avoid it. So I also try to get some pictures of people who have mental disorders so that it will help you take away those images that you might have of mental disorder. So here we go. These are some of the celebrities probably you would recognize. So I brought a bit of Hollywood, a bit of Bollywood. That does help. There are lots of sports stars as well who have mental illnesses, but I just got a few of them. And these people, they have mental disorders ranging from simple anxiety to really complex one. One of them has bipolar affective disorder, which leads to highs and lows of mood. So, but they live normal lives. They are functioning. As you see, they are high achievers as well. So mental disorder is not something that will stop you from achieving things. Now, why and what is the role of parents in this? Before I go to that, I will just, again, trying to normalize mental health or mental disorders is just looking at physical disorders. Because just like in physical health disorders, there are a number of problems in physical health, and some are not that bad, some can be severe. Similarly, in mental disorder, it's the same. So if you take physical disorder, a person might have a headache, they might have high temperature, they might get a sprain, some might have severe problem like diabetes, some might have knock knee. Similarly, in mental disorder, people might have just anxiety, some might have low mood, some might panic a lot, some might have depression, or some might have autism. So there is a wide variety to it. Now, the key thing is to get help. And that's where the parent's role is very important. Why is it important? Because in most of the countries, the mental health services are not developed enough. There are enough physical health services, and everyone is trying to not talk about mental health problems. So if services are not supportive enough, if no one talks about it, and if your child has a mental health problem, then who is going to help him? Or who will find that your child has a problem? So you as parents are important in playing that role. And most of us think, well, it happens somewhere else. Mental health problems don't happen in my relation or my child or in my child's school. So that's a myth. This is what research tells us, that 20% of adolescents may experience a mental health problem in a given year. So if you take a year, let's take 2020. Well, 2020 is worse because of COVID, it'll be even worse. But if you would take an average year, out of 50 students, if you take a class of 50 students, out of them, 10 will have experienced a mental health problem. So if you imagine your child's classroom, 50 children are there, 10 of them would have a problem. If you take a group of children from age 5 to 16, again take a class of, let's say, 50 students, 5 of them will have a diagnosable mental illness. So this is an illness where they would need medication. And that is not the worrying part. It's okay to have these problems, just like it's okay to have physical health problems. We don't say that world is going to come to end if we have temperature or if we have any other problem. The main worry is, out of all these children who have mental health problems, 70% of them don't get the right help. That is the worrying bit, because then if it's not helped, it gets worse and worse and worse over the years. It's like if someone has an infection in their hand or foot, you don't get them the right treatment, it will get worse, it will get more infected. The chances are they might need to get the leg amputated. I'm just using the extreme example to just emphasize the point. So it is important. And the importance of parents in all of this is very high. So now this neatly brings us to parenting, which lots of you are interested in. If we now think of humans and compare them with other animals, humans have a lot of complex mental health. I'm not saying other animals don't have, but humans have a complex mental health. And we could, in a way, say that humans have two births. When I say two births, first is a normal physical, birth which happens. The other is the birth of the mind. That's the psychological world of a child. And the first 3 years are very crucial to that. First 3 years of life, how they are parented, what environment they are brought up, is very crucial to that. So as parents, you might not have much of an control over how the physical health or the physical structure of the child develops, but how their mental health develops, that you have a major control over. So what are the aspects of parenting? First, as it says here, love, encouragement, and support. If from today's session you want to take only one thing, then please take this line with you. Remember it like anything, which says parent to child, then it goes on to child, and then it goes on to child to others. Now, to explain this, what does parent to child mean? Parent to child means what you say, do, or how you behave to the child. So if anytime a child does a mistake, you go to the child and tell him, you're stupid, you again made a mistake. If you keep on doing that, then after some time, even if you're not there and the child makes a mistake, they will say to themselves, I am stupid, I never get things right. And that will be recorded almost in them. And as they keep on growing old, not only will they tell themselves that, they will tell other people who are in their relation. So let's say someone in their relation made a mistake. So this child would tell that person, you're stupid, you have made this mistake. And then worst thing is they will do the same to their children as they grow old. So this is one example. But if a child makes a mistake and they're a different parent, the parent says to the child, That's okay. You made a mistake. We all make mistakes. Try again. You are a smart boy. Try again. So if they keep on saying that to the child, when the child is on his own, makes a mistake, the first thought that comes to the child is, yeah, everyone makes a mistake. I have made a mistake. I will be able to do it. I will find a solution. Not only that, once the child grows up and they interact with other people, that's what do they do. And this will have such an impact on them, the relations they have, their children. So it's a major thing that we can change. That's why going back to this sentence, what you do to the child as a parent, the child would do that to themselves, and the child would do that to others. So this is it. Now it's easy for us to go into a guilt state saying, well, as a parent, I have done this to my child and I have spoiled, or I have done this wrong. If you have done it, I'm not saying you've done it. And in a way, you don't have a control over it because you learn from your parents. The way you have been parented, that's how you will parent your child. But the key thing is to be aware of it. Is this the right way that I would want to do things? If you go back to your child, remember the child in you. Go back to when you were a child and think about it. When my parents treated me like this, did I like it or not? If you didn't like it then, you should not do that thing to your child, because that's a very good indicator. You don't need a psychiatrist or psychologist or a therapist to tell you that. Your internal child would be a very good guide to you. So there's a Kashmiri saying here, I have put it there, which says Kokur Tachan Put Hechan. This simply means that children learn by seeing what their parents do. So let's say, as I've given an example, when a child falls, a parent goes to them, the expression on the face of the parent, which is of concern, the child would see that and they will understand, yeah, it's okay to be sad when you get hurt. Then if the parent hugs and kisses them, that's a reassuring thing for them. And then the parent says, it's okay. Yeah, we all fall down. You will be fine. And that reassurance has a major part. Sorry, I put lots of time in this section because I think it's a very crucial one. So now we'll move on to the next bit, which is called keep your authority. Okay, so lots of time I see that parents almost give their authority up. They just go in and give to all the demands of their children. That's not right, particularly if you've got a teenager. Teenage is an age where children are moving from being a child to being an adult. And it's not a straight process. They go up and down, as in there will be times in the day where they will behave like a child, and there'll be times in the day where they will behave like an adult, because they're trying to find the right balance. And that's what confuses lots of parents. But in doing all of them, when they are rebelling against, when they are pushing you away, it's not that because they hate you or they're purposefully trying to do that. It's like if a child is in a room, the child is pushing the walls. That doesn't mean they're trying to break the wall. They're just testing the walls. How strong is this wall? Because if it's strong, it will protect me. So you as a parent have to maintain your authority as a parent, even though there is Google and internet to kind of affect it, but you just have to keep your authority. You are wiser than Google. You have had much more experience than Google. Google hasn't been there that long. And you are a human. And not only that, the most important thing, you are the parent of the child. So that authority should stay there. And the third thing is play and engage. This is about engagement with child. As I was saying earlier, the first 3 years are very important, but the childhood of a child is very important, and what you do as a parent. Play with your child as much as you can, because playing is not just for enjoyment. I was asking my daughter yesterday, why do you think we should play with our children? Or why should children play? And she said, because A, it will help them, they will enjoy it, and B, they would then learn how to manage in life. Because when they're playing, there are problems which come up in games. Some people cheat in a game. Then the other children learn how to manage that. The children lose in a game, but they learn how to manage failure. And if a parent is playing with them, and then the parent can kind of say to them, that's okay to lose. Okay. So you are actually teaching them how to learn how to live with other people. And the important thing in that is that you are with them, you're engaged. Now you might say, my children are adolescents, I'm not going to play games with them. You can still interact with them in a nice way, what they do. You could have board games. We used to play chess. We used to play carom board. So those things are still possible. And the key thing, again, to highlight to you is all the children who achieve high in the exams are not necessarily the most successful in life. But children who have played a lot in their childhood, they definitely are successful in life. They might not necessarily be academically successful, but they really will be a good success in life. So very important point. I will now briefly talk about academics, not go into detail, but there are lots of questions which might come afterwards. Is if you want your child to do well in academics, you have to remember that to study, you need to have attention on what you're studying. And to focus, your mind should be free of emotional troubles. As a parent, if you think about yourself, the day you are stressed, the day you are feeling emotionally not right, are you able to do any work properly? No. Are you able to concentrate? No. If there is stress, you cannot concentrate. So as a parent, don't put the emphasis on succeeding for the child. Don't tell them you have to read this, you have to read that. Schools are anyway telling them, teachers are telling them that. Not only that, there's so much of peer pressure to do that. As a parent, look after their emotions. Look after that, see whether they are happy. If you feed them well emotionally, they'll be happy, they'll feel loved. And when they feel that, they will do anything they think would make you happy. If they think the success in exams is happy for you, good for you, they will try their best. I'm not saying that's what they should do, but because they will value you as parents. On the other hand, if you pressurize them to achieve in exams, they will hate you. They won't show it to you right now, but the anger would come up because you're making them do something that they don't want to do. It's like you are working in an office and your boss is on you all the time. Achieve this, achieve this, achieve this. You will not love that person. The relation would not be great. So please don't focus on success, focus on their emotions. Their emotional health is very important. And you as parents have a big responsibility for that. Thank you for listening to me. Now it's question time. And I'll stop sharing my screen. Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Saab. Thank you very much. We had a few questions coming in. And before we start those questions, I myself, during your presentation, was thinking about something. We all have grown in an age where our parents had zero idea of the right parenting technique, the child parenting technique. I would say we have turned out to be decent human beings, if not great. What has over the years changed that it is becoming essential to have the right parenting techniques to raise a good child or to raise a good human being? Over the years, there must have been reasons which would have made it more necessary and get the right techniques in.
I think that's a very good question. And I think I can spend hours talking about it. But if we take few important things about it, is first of all, this is a time of mass movement, population movements. Even if we take the Kashmiris only, we were migrated or we were kind of thrown out of the place where we were. So we have lost the family structure, the social structure that was there. So your parents or my parents, they didn't need to learn parenting techniques. They just followed what their parents had taught them, what they saw other people around them doing. So lots of us, not just Kashmiri, but other people who are immigrants or have moved to other countries have lost that one major thing. The second thing is the new challenge, which is internet. When we were little, the main knowledge source for us was our parents or our teachers. Now that is not there. So that has had an impact on how we parent and all. And the third thing is the new modern challenges, the realities of life, which includes things like drugs, things like internet addiction or gaming addiction, those kind of things, and the pressure of to achieve in life with globalization and with so much of money coming in and industrialization, there's a high importance on achievement. And all of that together adds stress to the child, and the parents need to respond to that new additional stress.
Thank you, Dr. Sir. We have one more question saying that you were talking about around 15 to 20% of teenagers and children school may be having some kind of mental pressure or this. So how does a parent identify that the son or the daughter or the child is could need a medical help or need a we need to meet a consultant to get things right? What would be the identification sign?
I think there are a number of things to help with that. First of all, when your child has temperature, you know the temperature because you can measure it using a thermometer. But if your child has stress, would you notice it? Yes, you would notice it because child would not be doing their usual thing. They'll probably get more angry than usual. They'll be more irritable and they would not be able to enjoy the things they are doing. Now, if it happens for one day, let's say they have had a fight in the school, the child comes and they are sad, they want to hide in their room, they don't want to talk to you, they're not going to eat that day. Well, one day is fine. But if that behavior continues for a long period of time, if you are getting reports from your school that your child is not happy, the child is not performing in the school, is not able to attend. So basically, if your child is having problem in emotions, in the way they are thinking, in the way they are behaving, and it is so extreme that it's having an effect on their day-to-day activities. It's same for you as, let's say, if an adult is not able to do their normal work, they're not able to enjoy the things they normally do, then that is a point of concern, and that's where you need to find help. It does not necessarily mean that you have to go to a psychiatrist. You can go to a psychologist, you can go to a counselor, but you have to start the steps there.
Ankaji?
Doctor, there's a question from Renuji. She's asking, my child is a picky eater. What should I do?
That's a very good question, picky eating. And it means different things for different people. So let's say Renuji is saying that her child eats only specific things. Now, in the child development, there are different things. As child is growing, they are controlled by their parents. We all know that because they are deciding almost everything. So there are some things that slowly the child starts having a control over. They'll slowly learn that they can control the things they are eating. So if your child is even 3 years old and they don't want to eat anything, you will try to make them eat. They will just not open their mouth because that's the first time they get the control. Similarly, the way the child goes to toilet, that is the second thing they almost get a control over. So they can decide not to go to toilet. And third thing is studying. So if the child decides not to concentrate for whatever reason, they won't. You can't force them into doing that. So picky eating is almost a result of the parents trying to control the diet too much. If you are almost forcing the child to eat more. And I'm not saying this as a criticism for you, Renuji, or anyone else. We as parents want to give the best diet to our child. But if you are doing too much of that, the child would revolt, almost want to take over the control. So the picky eating is a result of that. A good idea would be to talk to your child. I don't know what the age of your child is, so I cannot specifically say what you do. Just talk to your child, see what's really they'd like to eat. And if give them that control, leave them to eat what they want to eat. I'm not saying forever, do it for a week. If they really start losing weight, then you will know it's not good for them. And then you can go back to where you're going. But give them some control and you will see the results. And to be honest, if a child
So
doesn't for one,
are you saying that if mother feeds spinach or greeny leafy vegetable and child says no, let it be?
I'm not saying exactly that. What I'm saying is picky. That's why I've said it's difficult to say that about picky eating. So we know that child needs vegetables. So if they're not eating spinach or they're not eating satchel, let's say, there will be vegetables they might want to eat, or they might want to eat fruits or something, or cook it in a different way. So explain to them why you want them to eat vegetables. Then give them the choice to find the right vegetables for them, and then tell them the consequences. As I was saying, I'm not saying give them open ticket. If you give them a week to try that and they're not eating any of that, you have to take the control back. There's no doubt that's your job. But at the same time, you are teaching the child to think properly and know that there are things they have to take, and you as a parent would monitor it. So talk to the child, understand why they're not eating properly, give them the choice, monitor it. If it's going wrong, then take the control back.
But we should let the child to take his own decisions. Give him space at least. You should not
Space
force him
them.
on everything.
That's not the way.
Give them space, but you have to be vigilant. They don't misuse that space.
Exactly. Exactly.
It takes me to the next question. Anilji is asking from Jammu. Spanking. Could I use it sometimes?
A very interesting question, spanking. So I would normally not answer this question because in most of the countries, spanking is illegal. But in some countries where it possibly is not illegal, I would want to answer this question because it will keep the child safe. So why would you spank a child? I think by spanking, you mean hitting them with something. So why are you trying to hit them? Is it that you are trying to teach them?
We used to do sai shalak.
Yeah. That was worse. And there are lots of stories about that, which I really am scared of hearing. So why would you spank someone? I think you as a parent are trying to do that to teach them to behave in a particular way. Okay. If that is the aim. That is the aim. Then there are a few problems with that aim. Okay. The first problem is, yes, they might start behaving in a particular way, but the problem is that that will only last till they have the fear of it. So till you as a parent are in that powerful position, they would probably not do that. As soon as you are out of picture, let's say you're going to office, they are on their own, they would do it because the fear isn't there. So it lasts only till the fear is there. So that's one thing, not the most important thing. The second thing is, what you have done is you have installed a fear in your child, a fear which will stay for a long period of time. It will have a major impact on their living happily in their life. No one lives happily if they have a major fear on them. So you have done that to them. And third most important thing is, this will have a major impact on your relation with your child. Going back to what I was saying earlier in the presentation, what you do to the child, that's what the child does to themselves. That's what they will do to others. So if you are in a position where they are in control in the future and they can spank you, I can assure you they would spank you. So think of your relation. Spanking was an extreme example, but that's what it will be.
We have also been spanked by our parents, but we never thought that way.
Well, I would, yeah, that's a good one.
But
the spanking might not be physical spanking. It will be verbal. If you are angry with someone, the anger doesn't go away. It comes out in other forms. You might ignore your parent. You might do other things. But
I think there are various forms of punishment. It need not to be physical in nature. And
well, the punishment in itself is a bit of loaded thing. So what a word that we can use is punishment. Yeah.
But what I've seen, childs, they forget things very easily. Once you start, whether it's anything, you give them a good habit or something, but a child just remembers it for a while and then he comes back to his own shape.
I think that's not only with child.
So continuous effort.
That's with everyone.
So how
to learn a habit, there are many reasons how we get into a habit. The first and foremost is, if it brings something nice to us, we will keep on doing the same thing. So no one needs to tell us. So let's say if you go to your office, you walk to your office, and one day you find a shortcut to your office, which saves you time and effort, then no one needs to tell you, go this way or is raste se ja. You know there's a shortcut and you will start going that way and you will do that. So if there is no incentive, there is less chance for a person to develop a habit. But there are some habits which are good for a person and they have to do it. Let's say a sports person, if they want to go for a marathon, they have to get into the habit of running regularly. But there again is an achievement at the end of it. They know there's a bit of a pain going there. So if it's explained to the person, look, you will have to go through this pain, but that is the end, you are achieving it. And then you support them in doing that thing every day, then it will develop into a habit. It's like you and I remember when I was a small child, my parents used to say to me, you should have your back straight. And I say that to my daughter as well. So that is something you might have to remind them again and again, but you don't have to punish for them. Just remind them. And
Kamar Thaus, so this was, I think every Kashmiri parent used to say Kamar Thaus. Yeah, the chant of just and dokte with.
We come to a third question. Bablu ji is asking it. while it is common for children abroad to sleep separately from a very young age, here in India, but here in India, they share the room with their parents almost till adolescence. तो उससे बच्चे की साइकोलॉजी पे कुछ फर्क पड़ता है?
Excellent question. If we go with research, it has changed over a period of time. Okay, but if we go with common sense, a child is in mother's womb for 9 months. Okay, that is the closest relation they have with a parent. Once they are born, yes, you can start keeping them separate from the mother, but just imagine someone who has been with someone so close 9 months, and then you suddenly take them away. The child would have to go away. We all have to move away from our parents, but that has to be done in a stepwise manner. It has to be done in a manner which is not traumatic to the child. So if a child is, let's say 3 years, I'm giving an example, this is not a science. So if the child is 3 years old and you say to the child, you sleep in a separate room, you take them in a separate room, they sleep to sleep. And if the child is crying all night long, that means the child is not ready to be separated. It's just traumatic there. So you would have to keep the child with you. But over a period of time, they will slowly learn to move away from you. So there is no right and wrong rule to it. And it's just that you have to see that the child is separating at the time that they are comfortable with. The other thing is, a husband and a wife, they would need their privacy. Bedroom is their privacy. So yes, it's right to give the child the support they need, but eventually they will have to move away. And bedroom, when they sleep separately, they learn that they have to move away from their parents. Parents have a relation, they have a bond where the child cannot interfere. The child will get out of it. So adolescence is, I think, too long for the child to be sleeping with parents. Definitely not. But before that also, it has to be done in a gradual way.
It should be a gradual manner. It should be a gradual manner.
There is no, I won't tell you, do it at 4 years, 5 years, or 9 years.
Depends upon the child to child. It depends on child to child,
late.
parent to parent.
Teenage is too late. And yeah. And again, going back to how, because things have changed, and they change for other people. So if, let's say, someone in the previous time had only 2 rooms in the house and there were 15 people, they were living in the same rooms, but that was a need. If you have got 3 rooms in the house and people can have different rooms, then why do you have to sleep in the same room? That's another thing.
We have a question from Wajahat. He says, at what age should I start giving pocket money to my child? And does it help?
That's again a interesting question. For anything we do as parents, we have to think about it. Why am I doing it? So pocket money, if you're giving something, I think there are 3 reasons why you would give the pocket money to someone. So if your child is going to school, they are going by a bus, and in the school they have to eat lunch, you will give them pocket money, which would help them pay for the bus and eat the lunch. The second thing you might be giving child the money for is, we go to school and have fun. It's your birthday, so have 2 ice creams, or treat your friends to ice cream. So you're giving them more money to do that. And third thing is, as a parent, you are thinking, my child needs to learn how to manage money. So I will give my child 10 rupees, let's say, 10 rupees is nothing, let's say 100 rupees. And I will see how the child manages it. So there has to be an aim to what you're doing. Just giving money for the sake of giving money has no use, I think, and it shouldn't be done to anyone. But if there's a purpose, and again, going back to what Pankaj was saying earlier, is if you are giving new things to a child, you need to monitor it. If you're giving money to a child and the child is spending it on something that you don't want them, or is not healthy for them to do that, then you have to stop that pocket money, or you have to monitor. So keep on monitoring what you're doing. Again, as I said, I won't say there is an age limit to that. If your child is, let's say, 7 years old and they don't get lunch at school, so they have to buy lunch, you will have to give them pocket money, there's no doubt. But just giving it for the sake of it, I don't think there's a reason.
It's a sign of responsibility, I think. Money, responsibility.
It's A is need. What's the need? And second is responsibility. And third is trust as well. So in
Trust
a way,
also, very
when you're giving
important.
money to the child, you're saying, look, we trust you, we trust what you're doing. But initially, yes, we will monitor it because it's money and we don't want it to be wasted. So you give all those statements.
We have one more question from, we have a question from Sandhya ji. Says, my child is 5 years old and is happy to play alone with his imaginary friends. Is there something to worry?
Imaginary friends do happen to lots of children, usually age around 3, and very rarely it can happen in adolescents as well, that they might have imaginary friends. But the key thing is, why does a child have imaginary friends? And that is where, Sandaji, you need to think about, or you need to understand why your child needs an imaginary friend. So often, again, I'm not trying to criticize anything, but usually children need imaginary friends when either they don't have friends or they're not able to communicate to other people. And often it happens more in stressful situations. So you would need to talk to your child, try to understand why are they not having enough friends in school? Is there a problem in having friends? And sharing their issues. So that's what you would need to
I
do.
think this question could be primarily because of last 6 months lockdown in India and child not being able to interact with too many friends, because even our society, parents are still skeptical on allowing children meet. तो तो पहले अपॉइंटमेंट डिस्कशंस होते हैं 15 हफ्ता पहले कि ओके 1 hour. So I think I'm just making a guess that it could be, but you are very right in saying that there has to be reasons and they need to be investigated why he's still having an imaginary friend.
And again, Amaji, as you said, yes, it might add to it. But again, in lockdown or COVID situation, and it's in every country, it's not just in India, that you are in home with your parents. And that, in fact, is an even much better opportunity, because what lockdown has helped with is that our jobs are not as hectic, as in we're not using so much time to travel. And that time could be used to spend more time with your child. In your case, Sandhya, I would recommend that you start giving at least 1 hour every day to your child. In that 1 hour, you can just play with the child. You don't have to do anything specific. Just spend time playing with the child, whatever they play. Don't worry about what it is going to be. It's that time with the child. And we all, as parents, have this time. Spend it with the children. They don't need imaginary friends. They need you as parents to talk to them, to understand them, to play with them. Playing is very important. And I don't know, in older age children also, there was another question which might come again as well, is about lockdown. So I might come back to that later as well. But it's an opportunity to be used as parents. And that is from my experience where in past I have been contacted by many parents, not only from India, but other countries, where their job is so hectic that they don't have time for their children. So please use this opportunity that lockdown is bringing you to make a better relation with your children.
Takes to one more question. It is a 13-year-old child asking, COVID has restricted my visit to playgrounds, meeting friends. What should I do?
Again, a very good question. And being from Kashmir and again in UK, where in winter times, the daylight isn't that much. So most of the time is spent at home in the evenings. And in Kashmir, we used to have, not lockdown, we used to have without electricity time. There used to be days when there would be no electricity. So the child could not go out. They didn't have video games to play. There was no iPads or computers. The computers might had come back. So what did we do then? We used to be together with the parents and we would play games. We would probably play carom board. We would have word games, or would be Antakshari used to be one of the things.
Antakshari was one of the
Antakshari was
favorite.
that way. So it was not just for fun. Again, it was interacting with each other, understanding each other. And so if you are not able to go out and play with the friends, yes, it's not great. But that doesn't necessarily mean that all of that time has to go to iPad or playing video games. I know parents would have to put more effort. And that's why I'm saying, because of lockdown, you don't have to waste time on traveling to work. That is time saved. Spend that with your children. yes, they would need some time on iPad and all, but it has to be restricted. If they are not doing anything, then they should probably do exercise in home. That is good for them as well. Do anything you can do at home, but all the time that you would have spent in the sports shouldn't go to using iPad or computer games.
This COVID takes us to one more question. It's a father saying, COVID has increased the screen time of my children. They are either stuck to tab, mobile, TV. They now refuse to go out. What should we do?
I think that's a very important point, because we were talking earlier about behavior. And if something is more enjoyable to us, we tend to do that more. And if children are finding it much easier to just sit and play video games or be on the internet, there is less chance of them going out. But that wouldn't happen with everyone, because there are children who like to play cricket or sports, outdoor sports. They would wait for the opportunity to go out and do that. So I think the key thing is to understand why your child doesn't want to go out if there are other children playing out there. And again, it's not a criticism, but is your child being bullied by other children? So they anyway did not want to go out. Or are they finding it difficult to interact with other people? Is there a problem with that? So the problem is not that they are enjoying the video games at home. The problem is, why do they not want to go out? And that's again not the child's fault. There is a reason for that. So please try to find out that reason. And you can only find that out by talking to the child. The second thing is, if it's a behavior which has set in, then you might slowly want to help them get out of the routine of staying at home. So take them out for small walks, go out with them to play with them. And when you are also going, you are in a way showing a behavior that you are doing, and then they would follow it. And again, do it gradually. Because as I was saying earlier, this is a behavior which has set in. We all have got set in. I was asking a child yesterday, do you want to go back to school? And he said, no, I don't want to go to school. because going to school means he has to get up in the morning, wear uniform and all at time, and then go to school. And I asked, what do you like in school? He said, I like playtime. And understand, that's children, that's a children. So it has to be tailored to the child, and you as parent have to show them how to do it. Because
But
not only, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
But you touched a very important thing, which I think we are missing: bullying.
Bullying. Yes.
How a child in school, because this is a common practice, bullying and all, how he should cope up with this thing, a child, because when the child is being bullied, a lot of things would have been going through his mind. It would be affecting his studies, his relationship with parents, and he is not willing to say to the parents. So what will you advise to those children? I am sure the children will be also watching today your program, even the parents, because this bullying has a very vast impact on the mind of a child.
Yes. And yes, bullying is a very important topic, and it's very close to my heart as well, because I was bullied as a child.
Even me also.
Yes. So
because
please go ahead. Yeah. So the problem with bullying is it could either be emotional or it could be physical, and it's a lot. And in that, the key thing is the support the child gets. And first thing is the acknowledgement, because often when you are bullied, you almost feel guilty about being bullied. Okay, and the bully has a lot of power almost over you. So you are not able to, as you rightly said, going to school, you wouldn't want to go to school because you know you'll be bullied there. You are sitting in the classroom and teacher is teaching something. You are not worried about, you're not enjoying the learning because you're worried as soon as I go out in the lunch break, I'll be bullied again. And when you are playing sports and all, that time also you're not enjoying because you're worried the bully might come and
back of the mind is all going on.
Back of the mind. And so it's similar to grown-ups. If as grown-ups we are going to work and there is a particular person at work who is bullying us, we wouldn't want to go to work. So it is a very important thing for us, for the child to enjoy, to be able to study and all. So what should we do about it? First of all is it has to be identified. You should talk to your child about bullying, even if they are not getting bullied. Just sit down and talk to them and say, look, we know bullying happens and we want you to tell us if it happens to you. So what you have done is you have normalized a conversation. So the child knows it doesn't, because most of the children who get bullied think it happens only to them in this world. No, it doesn't happen to them only. It happens to lots of children. So once you have told them, look, bullying happens to lots of children. If it happens to you, I want you to tell me. And what happens then is they have this communication. They know I can go to my parent and I can tell them. And once you know that they are being bullied, obviously then it's your responsibility as parent to go and talk to school and get that sorted. So first thing, to all the parents who are listening to this, please have a conversation with your child about bullying. Tell them bullying happens and lots of children go through that. I don't want you to go through that. If it's happening to you, please tell me and I would sort it out.
I think, Dr. Sir,
Why
we should
not take
request
the
children also, because they are also watching you. Tell them also. I request you
why
to
not
tell the
take the
children.
child to give bully the response he deserves?
Well, that's another interesting one. But again, if a child is being bullied, it might not be just one child who is doing them. So first thing, that it might be a group of them. If you tell the child to retaliate, yes, they might go and fight with this group and get beaten up. So that's one thing. The other thing you are teaching the child is that it's okay to be violent. In our current society, where we are much more developed and we are supposed to follow rules, if someone hits you on the road, you're not going to beat them. You're probably going to call the police and say, well, this person did this to me. So you're teaching that to the child. And if you are telling them to go and hit the bully, if the child is not able to do that, then you are making them feel even more guilty. Because first, they are feeling guilty that they are being bullied. Second, they are feeling that it's my responsibility to take care of it. And if they're not able to do it, it'll make things worse for them. And that's why parents have the authority almost and the responsibility to protect their children. And that's what they need to do. So I would not say to the child, go and deal with it themselves.
Yeah, I agree with you, because many often I see people making comments about others. Look, he's not following the law of the land. He doesn't trust in the law. And sitting with a child, he drives at 100 and jumps
Yes.
all the red signals. And so I think that's where the child learns कि law की respect करने की जरूरत है नहीं. मेरे पिताजी
But the
तो
child should also come up and talk to his parents. That's also very important. That's what I was saying. This program is being watched by children also. So you should request children also, if there is something like this, they should not hesitate and they should go to their parents and tell them, why this is the issue, kindly resolve it.
Dr. Saab, we have sorry.
Sorry, can I just ask? I was not aware that children are watching this program as well. It's good that you have said that. Then I will respond to all the answers in that way. But again, as I said, going back to the bullying bit, I know children who are being bullied probably wouldn't in the past have done that. But yes, please, if you are being bullied, talk to your parents, talk to the teachers, talk to the grown-ups, and they would help you. As children, you might be worried that you will get bullied even more if you complain about bullying. So if you're afraid of talking to the teachers in the school, talk to your parents. They would sort it out. If they can't sort it out in that school, they will find ways of keeping you safe. But the best thing is talk to your parents.
We have a question coming in from Parallel. He says that how long should I fulfill the demands of the child and to what extent?
Another excellent question. I was hoping someone would ask this. Going back to my presentation about keeping an authority. Okay, so if the child is demanding something, demand is a very strong word. Let's say if they're asking for something, you as parent know what's right in that sense. So if a child is at lunchtime coming to you and saying, I'm hungry, give me lunch, they're not demanding lunch, they're asking for it and you have to provide it. As a parent, that's your duty. If a child is hurt and they are crying and they are saying, give me a hug, that is something that you have to do because that's your duty. Where the problem comes in is where the child is asking you to buy them expensive things. Okay, so again, yes, you might need expensive things for your child. Let's say a child is in school and they have to do homework on a laptop. So that again is not a demand, they are needing it. The problem comes where the child is saying, I want to buy this expensive shoe or an expensive video game because my friend has it. Now that's very interesting. Why does your child want that video game? Is it because now they are getting into the behavior of comparing themselves with other children and maintaining their self-esteem based on what others have and they have. So that's where you have to think of, is it a relevant demand? The other thing is, again, this is from the experience of talking to parents who have had difficulty with their children, is parents who don't have time for their children, who are spending too much time working, earning lots of money. So they feel the only way we can compensate for our not giving time to our child is buying them expensive things, giving them whatever they want. So the child comes and says, play with me, Papa. And Papa is too busy. And Papa says, ja, video game खेल ले या YouTube पे जा या मेरा phone ले ले और उस पे जा. So if you are compensating for your time by giving them something, it's not going to help. So if the child needs something, give it to them. But if they are demanding something and you're giving it to them, that's not helpful. The other thing is, if you are giving child, every time giving in to child's request, that is not good for them because they are controlling you. And the problem with that is, going back to my earlier example, is the children always try to see whether the walls of their home are strong enough, and the walls are you as parents. If they keep on demanding and you keep on giving in, the wall is very weak. So that's not going to make them feel secure. They will know this is a weak wall. And if the parents are not strong enough, if the parents are not able to provide them protection, who would? So sometimes it's good to say no to child, particularly if it's all the time that they're asking for these things.
There is one more question from Rekha ji from Bangalore. She's saying, my child is 21-year-old and he's pursuing his engineering. As such, he's an intelligent, but has issues with concentration in studies, spends a lot of time extracurricular activities and mobile games. Gets angry if we try to counsel.
It's a question which has lots of aspects to it, Rekha ji. One is about concentration. The other is about spending time on extracurricular activities. And the third thing is about counseling. So lots of things in that. So let me take one at a time. First of all, concentration. Going back to the concentration aspect, which I was saying, if you have emotional troubles, you won't be able to concentrate. Okay, that I'm not saying, Rekha ji, that your child has emotional problem. The other thing I didn't talk earlier about because it didn't come up is that there are some children who will always have difficulty with their concentration. That doesn't necessarily mean they are doing it because they have emotional troubles. There is a developmental disorder called ADHD, that's attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder. What happens in this is that children have difficulty in concentration, they are hyperactive, and they are impulsive. Difficulty in concentration is that they are not able to study in the classroom. Now, lots of children are not able to concentrate, but if a child compared to other children of his age group are finding it even more difficult, then there's a possibility. If they are much more active than other children of their class, then there's a possibility. And when I say impulsivity, that means they do things without thinking. And when you try to explain to them that it's not right, or you teach them something, they continue to do that repeatedly. So that's called ADHD. And if someone has that, it definitely needs to be assessed and treated. The second thing is about, now the simplest thing why a person is not able to concentrate on, again, I'm giving you the extreme and the normal. The normal thing is if they're not interested in doing what they're doing, they won't be able to concentrate. So Rekha ji, you will have to check what your son is finding difficult. Why is he finding difficulty to concentrate? Extracurricular activities, I didn't get the feeling of what extracurricular activities he is doing. If he's spending lots of time playing sports or doing other things, then you might need to find out, is that what he really is interested in? If he is interested in it, maybe that is something you can help him do more of. Maybe that is where his profession would come to. That's what his career would be. If he's not interested in just studying, maybe that's not the right thing for him. And you need to talk to him. As I said, again, I cannot give you the answer because I don't know the full story. And the third thing was counseling. Going back to the first 2 points is you need to talk to your son. You need to understand him. It's never late to talk to your children. Once they know that you are trying to understand their problem, they will talk to you. If they think you are going to give them another lecture or you are going to tell them what to do, they're not going to listen to you. So please go and talk to them as if you are trying to understand them and as if you are not come to talk to them with an agenda already in your mind. When you go with that sincerity, they would talk to you.
Dr. Sir, we have
Now
one
at
more
this time,
question which says, do I model the behavior that I want my child to exhibit?
Who is the person who has asked this question?
I don't
Not,
have the name.
not necessarily the name. I was thinking if it was a Kashmiri, I would again say, go back to that phrase which Kashmiris use a lot, which is Kokur Tachant Poot Hichan, which basically means that the parents, the children learn the behavior of their parents. They learn more of what the parent does than they learn from what the parent tells them to do. So if the parent tells them to not to lie to anyone, but the parent lies to everyone, then the child will learn it's okay to lie. So yes, if you want your child to learn a particular behavior, it is good to model it.
I think something we discussed just a few minutes back, saying that parents says follow the law of the land and he himself breaks the rules. Pankaj ji, sorry, आप कुछ
you
कह
have to
रहे
set an
थे.
example. I was just saying communication between child and the parents. छोटे बच्चे तक तो ठीक है, when the बच्चा goes 13, 14, 15 साल, that time the communication between parent and the child is very difficult because the child has his own set of things in mind. Parents want to say something, तो क्या communication gap बहुत हो जाता है. This the age between I think 13 to 16, 17, 18. So how to bridge that gap? Because there are
I will just add to this question, Pankaj ji, because we have many questions on the similar lines. So we have also a question says that how do I converse with my teenage child? He believes that he knows more than us, in line with that gap. Plus, I have questions on how to manage teenage tantrums. Again, lots of parents have asked us the same. There's one more parent which has asked that, saying that how do I manage an arrogant and angry child? This is Aditya ji asking. So if you could answer this together, because all of them are very much in the same line, unless Pankaj ji has to add something else to it.
तो उस कम्युनिकेशन को बच्चे के साथ कैसे कर सकें, क्योंकि sometimes as a father also I also feel very difficult to मैं कैसे communicate करूं. I wanted him to communicate with me, but कभी-कभी वो communicate नहीं कर पाता. तो इस गैप को कैसे ब्रिज किया जाए?
Again, a very excellent question. There are different ways to handle this situation. First of all, is the best teacher for you would be yourself. When I say yourself, is you were a teenager once. So try to remember what you felt then, what you expected from your parents, what was the things you needed at that time. So that will be a good guide to you. So just sit with yourself and think about it. So that's one thing too, which will help you learn how to converse with a teenager, because you have been a teenager. There's no doubt about that. The second thing is what I was saying earlier. Teenage is a very interesting age. In fact, when I was a teenager, I didn't even know I was a teenager. It wasn't the big thing then. No one used to talk about it that much. But it is a very important thing now. Not now. The name is given to it, teenage, all of it. But that is the age where you are moving from being a child to moving an adult. Now, legally, when in many countries, if you are 18 years old, the day your birthday is 18, next day you are an adult. Unfortunately, biologically or psychologically, it's not that straightforward. You don't suddenly turn and become an adult. There is a phase of going from childhood to being an adult. And in this phase, the child moves in a day, maybe many times, from being a child to being an adult. Okay. So it's a phasic. So if you're looking at the child, your, let's say, someone's son or someone's daughter, in one day, they will move from being a child. That means they would want your love, you would want to be hugged, and they would want your support. They would want you to do something from them, to being an adult, where they would try you to talk to them as if they are adults. They would not want you to interfere with their work. They would not want your help at all. So when they are moving between these phases, this is very confusing for parents, because parents don't know what to do, because sometimes my child wants my help, sometimes they don't want, and it's very confusing. So this happens to all the parents. I see thousands of parents who have same queries. So what do you do in this phase? I go to an example. I used to work in the Navy, and the example is when the ship is in the sea, and it's very rough sea. The ship is it's moving a lot. And if there's a small boat which needs to come and stabilize, then it can only stabilize if the ship is stable. Okay. If the boat is moving up and down and ship is moving up and down, then there will be no transfer. If a person from the boat wants to go to the ship, they won't be able to do that. So the transfer will only happen if the parent or the ship is stable. Okay. So if the parent reacts to the child's changes in moods and emotions by being themselves emotional and moody and all, by taking it personally, like there was a word used, my child is arrogant. So if you as a parent are taking it emotionally, personally, you will react to them rather than act towards them. So you have to bear, as parents, you have to bear in mind that my child is going through a child phase and adult phase. So you will have to respond accordingly. There's no doubt about that. If a child is, so I'm not sure whether I conveyed that clearly. So what I'm trying to say is, be emotionally stable. If they are coming and let's say being rude to you, it's not good to be rude to a parent, and you have to talk to them calmly about it, that you are being rude to me. I don't like to be talked to like that. But the other response you could give is shout back at them. You be rude to them. So what you are doing then is that boat is unstable. You are also being unstable. You can't then help your child. So when a child is coming emotionally to you, you have to calmly talk to them. You have to tell them, and you have to convey that you are in authority. There's no doubt about that. But if you also start being rude to them, you are shouting back at them, and you're becoming emotional, you won't be able to solve the problem at all. So that's one thing. When you say that your child is getting angry with you, anger is a very interesting thing, because when we get angry, often we get angry because we are scared of something. If you think of when you got angry, usually it is about being scared. And anger is like happiness. It is an emotion, and it conveys something. All emotions convey something. So if you are happy, that means you have got the things you wanted. So it's a communication to you. If you're sad, that means you have lost something. That's why you're sad. Similarly, if you're angry, if your child is angry, that means they are worried about something. So your job as parent is to find out what is it that they're worried about and help them find that reason. If they are getting angry at you, you respond back in anger, it's not going to work. You have to be the parent who is stable. Don't take it personally. Know that they are like that. Once you stabilize yourself, once you're not reacting, and once you find the reason for their anger, you would be able to help them, and they would love you forever. But if they are angry, you get angry back at them, it will not help your relation at all. So that is one of the things that I was asked. I would need Pankajji and Amitji, your response on whether I have been able to explain it or if there are things, because I'm not getting response from people.
No, you are.
बहुत बढ़िया. We have been getting a lot of messages. I'm also seeing on the Facebook also.
I have one
question. How?
Because given the COVID situation, there's a lot of virtual education which is happening. Unless you have question to the link to the previous one, then Pankaj, you go ahead. If it's a different question, is it in the continuation with the previous?
It was a question. Previous के साथ ही there was a question from someone, Mr. Rahul. He was asking how to control anxiety and anger, which we are talking right now.
How to control anxiety and anger?
Yeah.
Okay. In a way, they are related.
It's from a parent. How to control his anxiety and anger, because the child doesn't listen.
Okay. So, are you saying it's parents' anxiety and anger?
Parents' anxiety and anger.
Yes. So, first of all, anxiety. Anxiety is if I try to explain it, anxiety means a worry about something bad going to happen. Okay. So let us say if I am driving a car and there is no brakes in my car, I would be anxious. No one can help me reduce my anxiety because that's a genuine anxiety. So if I fix the car's brakes, then I won't be anxious. Okay. So where there's a reason for anxiety, you can manage it by taking away the reason that's for anxiety. If you are anxious for no reason all the time, then that goes into mental disorder. That's where you need help for anxiety. I'm not saying that's the case in this one. So in this case, if you are anxious, you need to find out the reason for your anxiety. And not only that, what would help you is to find, is it really something to be worried about? If you're being anxious about, let's say you are anxious that my child is angry with me and that's going to, he will be angry forever, then that probably is not the cause. That's not something to worry about. Going back to anger, anger, as I said earlier, is caused by fear. So if someone is angry, you have to, one thing would be to say is, oh, he's angry, he's not nice. But that's not the fact. Anger is an emotion that comes out of anxiety or fear. So if you sort out the fear or the anxiety, you will feel less angry. And in this parent's case, again, they probably need to find out what they are worried about. What is their fear? That's why they're anxious and angry. There is a fear there. Either they can find it out themselves. If not, talk to a counselor. They might help you with that.
I think it's the fear about the child's performance.
Yes. So that's not uncommon fear. As I was saying, that's with lots of people, and in India particularly, and in other countries as well, where there is so much competition. Everyone is scoring 98%, 99%, and I really am happy that I'm not born in today's environment and had to scare that much. So yes, there is so much peer pressure, and but again, going back to success in life, it doesn't just depend on your getting 99% or 98% marks. That's again a long debate. I wouldn't go into that. What you need to look around is, as a parent, is are there any people who were in your classroom and they did not get as much marks as you got, or they did not get to the best university? What are they doing today? If I go back to my classroom, I see lots of people from my classroom who were not good at studies, but they're amazing at business. They're amazing in other fields. Someone has set up a big thing, mall or whatever. So they're doing well as well. So the worry we have that if we don't succeed in academics, world is going to come to an end. That is not a reality. Everyone has to find their own ways. And in today's world, where there are so many opportunities in so many fields, so that is a worry we would have to take out of our mind. But there's lots of peer pressure. Now, it is not only the pressure on the parent, it's a pressure on the child as well. They are getting lots of pressure from everyone around them about it. So the parent first needs to manage their anxiety and find whether it's nice to worry about these things. Then only they can help their child. As I was saying earlier, it's parents' responsibility to help child's mental health. It is like it's parents' responsibility to feed food to the child for their physical health. Similarly, it's parents' responsibility to feed their emotional health. And that can be done only by being less anxious and reducing their anxiety. Because if the child gets more and more anxious, they're not going to perform anyway. So you are going to be defeated. Sorry, a very long answer to this question, but it's a very complicated one.
Nice, Uzvat.
I think this would probably be the last question of the day. And it again comes from the current COVID-19 situation we are facing, saying that is virtual education good for my child? Is it going to impact his overall development? That's the question. This is being asked by Radhika. Radhika ji.
Radhika ji, there is no straightforward answer to this question. Virtual education forever, I'm sure, is not a good thing for any child, because the education in the school is very important for child, not only for academic learning, it's for social learning as well, and learning where they get by not only studying with other children, but by playing with other children, because we as humans in our life are not just machines to work for a company or other things. We are humans. We like to enjoy. We have relationships and all of that. So I do hope that children will be able to go back to their classrooms soon enough. But again, in situations, stressful situations like COVID, and it's not just for you, Radhika ji, it's for everyone, that situations like war or famine or diseases, pandemics like these, yes, they are stressful, but they can be managed by a family who are working together, who are interacting together, who are enjoying together. So the key thing is to keep your family strong and keep the communication going and help each other. And as I said, I don't want, I hope people can go back to the schools and not have virtual education forever. And the other thing which people didn't ask, but I think it's a relevant thing, is about drug use by children and all, and the internet gaming and all the addiction. Again, you as a family are going to provide them protection from all of it. As long as you have communication going on between you and your child, whatever happens outside the world, that will not impact them as much. Because if you are not communicating with your child, then other people will communicate with them and give them wrong information if there are wrong people out there. So strengthen your communication, spend time with your children. That will protect them from lots of these things.
Thank you, Dr. Saab. Thank you very much. I don't think we have any other questions. Pankaj, you have any other questions?
We just wanted to.
I have one question which has just come in saying, I think which you have already answered, but still.
Hello.
I can't hear Amit ji. Pankaj ji, do you
Amit
have
ji,
any question?
yeah, I do hear you, sir. Amit ji, hello. I think the most important thing for a children and for the parent is the communication. I think that is the biggest tool to combine parent and the child. And you have told that you have to keep your wall strong enough. The wall should be strong, but simultaneously you have to spend quality time with the children. And the one more important thing which you said, that kids should be allowed to play games. Are you able to hear me, sir?
I'm able to hear you.
Okay. So you should encourage your children to play. With studies also, encourage them to play, and it will make them much better human being. If I think the session was wonderful, Doctor. It was pleasure talking to you and making our mental health strong, from physical to mental, because we all are being cautious about our physical health and mental health. We are not so open in discussing with anybody. Good, Amit is back, I think.
Yeah.
So it has been a very great session with you, Doctor. We thank you for your time, for your valuable inputs. I am sure our viewers will be they would have understood the problem they have been facing, and they would have definitely got a solution for those problems.
Yeah, I think, Dr.
Yes,
Saab, parents would understand that if they want, it is their responsibility. And I'm very sure with your session, they'll be definitely making attempts to be a better parent, because being a better parent helps you raise a much more aware, socially responsible citizen, a better child, a better human being. And that's what is very important.
one more thing, Doctor Sir, if somebody today we are, because during the session, a lot of people are watching this, maybe some people wanted to get directly in touch with you and take a professional advice from you. What can it, because today everything is online, there is no need being physically present. So is there any way where they can come and contact you, or Facebook page or something where they can come share their problems? Professionally, they can come and contact us.
I think because if there's lots of queries, I might be able to get back to them eventually because of the time limitations. So yes, that can be done. How to contact me? I am on Twitter and I'm on Facebook, but it might be better to come through you if that's okay.
Yeah, I think we will do one more
Amit ji,
session.
you can
We
tell
can do
Amit ji
one
also,
more
because
session. We can do one more session and let people send us the questions. Friends, you can send us the questions on groupzara@gmail.com. You can also post your questions on our Facebook page, and there's a YouTube channel also in the name of Group Zara, Zara Group. You can view this video. The video will be uploaded shortly on the YouTube also. If you have questions, please do mail it to us. We will be happy to pass it on to Dr. Saab. And if required, we'll do another session with Dr. Saab. As you know, Dr. Saab is not based out of India. He's with NHS right now. And he will have his limitations on giving you consultation because of various technical issues. Thank you very much, Dr. Saab. We will, friends, again meet next week. And as we have started saying, and as we keep saying, till we meet in Kashmir next time. Thank you very much, Dr. Saab, with the hope that we all will meet in Kashmir next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Namaskar.
It's a pleasure having you here. Thank you.
Thank you.